think the four of you in the audience have to make a lot of noise to make it sound like there's a lot of people in the audience and be talking with each other. Yeah. I think we are set. The Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 meeting of the Eden Prairie City Council is now called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome to tonight's meeting. It's customary during this time for me to read an open podium invitation to our residents. Open podium is an opportunity for Eden Prairie residents to address the City Council on issues related to Eden Prairie City government. These times occur prior to each regular council meeting. The regular council meetings typically occur the first and third Tuesday of each month. Summer month schedule is a little bit different. Open podiums occur from 6:30 to 6:55 right here in the council chamber. If you wish to speak at open podium, please do contact the city manager's office at 952-949-8412 by noon of the meeting date with your name, phone number, and subject matter so we can be better prepared for you. Open podium is not recorded or televised. If you have questions about open podium, please do contact the city manager's office. Let's see, we have no proclamations and presentations this evening. That's a little atypical. They're a lot of fun, but we don't have any this evening. So our first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. So first, are there any agenda items anybody here wishes to add to this evening's agenda? So I do want to add two brief council member reports. One just on the federal funding piece that Rick Etchell will respond to. And the second is just to list out again all the various, many myriad of city activities that have occurred in the last 2 to 3 weeks that involve staff, and we just want to recognize and acknowledge their work. Okay, with that, Council, is there someone that would move to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda with your additional two reports.
Sounds good. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. All right, minutes. We have 2 minutes from the council meeting held Tuesday, July 15th, the regular council meeting and the workshop. Anybody have questions about any of them or additions, edits? If not, could I have a motion to approve both of them?
Move to approve the following city council minutes. City council workshop held Tuesday, July 15, 2025. City council meeting held Tuesday, July 15, 2025.
Any further, oops, there's second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. All right. Consent calendar. Again, the items that are important, but nonetheless are fairly housekeeping. Any council member have any questions about any of these items, even to the extent you might want to remove one of them and vote on it separately? None? Okay. Is there someone that would move to approve items A to V on the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve items A to V on the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on, we have a public hearing this evening. Mr. Getchell, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We do have a project in front of you tonight. First reading of a zoning district change from I2 to RM 2.5 on just under 1 acre. Resolution for a preliminary plat. Basically, the applicant is requesting to construct a 15-unit assisted living and memory care facility, 10,761 square foot single-story structure that would be located east of Aztec Drive, and this is west of Flying Cloud Drive across from Caliber Collision. The site consists of 2 parcels, as I mentioned earlier, just over 1 acre. The parcel is undeveloped. There are residential uses to the east, office uses to the north, and commercial uses to the west and the south. The Planning Commission held a public hearing at their July 14th meeting. They voted 5-0 unanimously to recommend approval to the city council, and there were no comments at that public hearing. The applicant is here tonight to provide an overview of their project, and then the staff and the applicant can answer any questions that you may have, and then you would need to hold a public hearing and take action on the project this evening.
All right, please come forward, give your name and address, company you work for,
Great.
social security number.
All right.
Just kidding.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all on this beautiful evening, one in Minnesota. I'm Bill Welch. With me, I have Dave Tebrake, who is my architect. I work for myself, so this is my first venture. I call it my second career. So I'm a first entrepreneur, I guess you could say, and pretty excited about that. After being in the software world to doing tech sales for the last 27 years. So that's who I am. I live in Prior Lake. I've lived in Minnesota going on 30 years now, and very excited about this new opportunity here in Eden Prairie.
Great. Anything else, or do you have a presentation in terms of the project, or?
I do. Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
happy to go through that now, unless you want me to.
Thanks for your introduction as well.
Absolutely. Yep, so we're calling it Aspen Estates. The title is going to change slightly. It's luxury assisted living and memory care. So it'll be both assisted living and memory care. And this is I'll have got other pictures, but this is a view of what the front of the home is going to look like. So it's the key here is that where there's obviously large facilities in Eden Prairie that are over 100 units. You know, there's lots of bigger ones like Eden Prairie Senior Living and Summit Place and the Waters, wonderful facilities. They serve a great need. The design of this is to provide a higher level of care, generally speaking, a higher level of care than what those larger facilities provide. As the growing need it's really pretty substantial. The demand for senior living and assisted living and memory care is outpacing supply almost 2 to 1 in the United States, and Minnesota is no exception to that. So lately, because the cost of build has gone up so much, the problem is getting worse, not better. Go ahead, please. So I'll give you a quick project overview, talk real briefly about where it's located, although that was already covered by Rick. Thank you for that. I'll talk about what the landscaping looks like, and we had a great neighborhood meeting as well. Okay. So as mentioned, it's approximately 11,000 square foot. The key word is home. That's the goal, is that we want to make this feel like a home for our residents. 15 bedrooms, all with private bathrooms. There will be a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, much like our own homes have. And then behind the scenes, there'll be a commercial kitchen that's required by code. So I'm going to have sort of 2 kitchens, a front kitchen so the residents feel at home, and then a kind of a more commercial kitchen behind the scenes where all the food is going to be prepared. I call it Goldilocks. So there's big facilities, which are really great. They serve a purpose. But they have their own challenges. For example, do you really want mom or dad to be down a long hallway where they can face isolation? And that was sort of the impetus behind me doing this project. I could have picked, like any of us, a lot of industries to go into. My own father passed away about 4 years ago, and I really think he gave up early on life because of isolation. He's a very social person, and he struggled at one of these bigger facilities. So that's really the driving factor behind my passion, why I'm doing this. So it's got some of the, we have a lot of the amenities of a larger facility, like a salon, for example, for, mom or dad, or, they can spend time in the salon, which is always fun. At whatever age it is, they still love getting their hair and nails done. So we'll bring in a stylist, which will be fun. But then it won't be so small where where people get too cramped up as well. So it's kind of that in-between number. And really, while this is very common across the United States, there aren't very many of these 15 to 16 bedroom homes. People ask, what are you going to do next? Some people say, would you do a 50 or an 80 unit one? And my answer is no. My next plan, or phase 2, will probably be 2 or 3 years down the road. I'll build more 15 to 16 bed homes. I might do 2 or 3 of those homes on one property, but I won't do a 50 bed, and that's intentional. So this is going to be unique for Eden Prairie, which I'm really excited about. Great amenities, but still small enough and home-like for people to avoid. Again, I think the biggest issue, or one of the biggest issues, is isolation. Okay. So there again, the front of the home, really proud of what Dave and the team put together. It's going to be a beautiful home. I would consider it really, 5-star. It's going to have a very nice curb appeal, and the inside will be very nice as well. Go ahead. This is the back of the home. You can't really see it, but there's a walking path that goes in a circle. Really important for folks. I mean, I should have mentioned before, but this is really end of life. So this is not independent living. This is full assisted living. So folks that they're disabled either physically or mentally, and generally, I'm guessing probably about 75% of the home is going to be memory care, so Alzheimer's, dementia. But having a walking path is really important for them. I'll have a very large shaded area for them to stay out of the sun. So we'll have it all fenced in. You see that fence will be locked down to prevent to prevent wandering. Okay. This is not going to be the exact view of the inside. We haven't gotten to that stage yet, but this gives you an idea as far as what is the inside going to look like. It will be a vaulted ceiling, like you see here, with beams in the top. You see there that has a nice kitchen and a nice living room and dining room. I will have a library as well, like you see there. But the goal, again, is to make this look like a really beautiful home and more of a home and less of a facility. So this is a good example of what the inside will look like. Okay. It's, not cheap, as I'm learning. The cost to build has gone up a lot these last 3 or 4 years with inflation, but it's about a $5 million home. We're going to have very professional landscaping and a crew that's going to be out constantly. I mean, I want this to look like a private country club. I want it to be very beautiful. Traffic impacts are very small. So the neighborhood meeting I did have only had 2 people, or actually 4 people attend. They were very pleased to hear that it's going to be a very quiet home. The residents are in bed by 9 o'clock. There's not going to be, parties going on until wee hours, and the traffic's going to be very minimal as well. They don't drive. So the traffic really is going to be people visiting as well as the staff. And the staff is at most 5 people at any given time. So it's not going to be a large number of cars ever going to be at the home. Go ahead, please. We already talked about the location, but it's just east of Flying Cloud, just south of Anderson Lakes. As mentioned, it's right across the street from Caliber Collision. To the north there, you see the office park, which are I think they look residential-ish, the office park does. It's not a big building with, concrete and glass. These are more, gable-type offices that are single level just to the north. To the south is mostly woods there, and then to the southwest is TGK Automotive. To the west is Caliber Collision, and then to the east and northeast and southeast is all neighborhood. And I've met with some of the folks that are actually joining the property line, and they've been very supportive of the project. Their point is, gosh, I think I'd rather have a home like this than say something like a Jiffy Lube, like that's because it's industrial zoning. So they're pretty pleased about this being a quiet home. Okay. This gives you an idea for the landscape plan. So we do have to remove trees where the building is going to be, but then we're going to be adding trees back, and in fact, providing even more, segregation between the house and the neighborhood behind us. And then if you look at the property line, the entire east property line is going to be all shrubs that'll be added as well. So there's a lot of trees already that are in the neighbors' backyards. None of those will go away. So they already have quite a barrier as it is. We're adding more trees and a full line of shrubs as well to keep that privacy for them. As I mentioned, to the neighborhood, we are required to send out notifications to any neighbors that are within 500 feet. So I sent out notification out to about 60 neighbors. One neighbor within that 60 that were sent out showed up, and then another couple from Eden Prairie who's just excited about development. They showed up as well. A little bit of follow-up, but nothing as far as any pushback or anyone having real concerns. I also met with the HOA president of the neighborhood, and she was extremely supportive as well. So we spent about an hour together to get to know each other. I think people just love to hear that. I'm just a guy with a family building a home. I'm not a big corporation who's doing some big, huge project. I just want this to be nice and quiet, and I like to call it an extension of what our family will be really involved in this. My wife and I will be. And that's all I have. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Council, anything right now? We can always ask questions later. Lisa, would you like to right now?
I just have a couple comments, not really any questions, but I'm glad you're keeping the trees on the east side. I know that the neighbor had a concern about that, but, and also, you spoke about the isolation, so thank you for doing this, because I think a lot of times, elderly people or people, just anybody in general suffers from loneliness, and this is a great little quaint, not tiny, but I mean, it's a nice size, not too big. And I wish you luck. I really think it's a good thing.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal is we want people to be living like a family in the common area. You know, we don't want them in their rooms. And I think that's the big difference between what this is versus a very large facility where people are down a long hallway. It'll be a large, that's really the design. That's the plan.
Just, Lisa, I just want to be really clear so neighbors understand what to expect too. So on the eastern tree line, you're actually not keeping any tree that you have responsibility over. The trees that are not going away are on actually the neighbor's land.
Can you pull back the tree design again, please? So we're keeping as many as we can on the eastern side. But I just wanted to point out that there's a lot of trees already that are on the neighbor's property line.
And they're of course staying because they're on the neighbor's land.
Correct.
But
And
where the
then,
bush line is, there's like scrub trees in there, but they're not being saved.
so all the bushes you see on the right-hand side are going to be added. Right, that's what I'm on my project.
So again, I'm just trying to,
Yes.
I don't want expectations of neighbors to
Yeah.
think something that's not actually happening. There's no tree along that line that is there right today that you're going to be keeping on your own property.
We are, in fact.
Which ones are those?
I don't think they're in this design.
That's good news, by the way. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, so that's,
So they'll be, the bushes will be mixed in among a few of the
Correct.
trees that you'll be keeping. Excellent.
right, the entire lot is very wooded.
Yes.
But it's been
And a lot of it's
developed.
scrub trees, but yes.
True, yeah. But we're keeping all the trees we can along the east side and of course what the neighbors have. So I don't think I described that very well. It's,
No, it's fine.
the neighbors have their own
Thank you, Lisa,
trees.
for clarifying. I just wanted to make sure residents don't expect something and then see all the trees being cut down or something. But,
Right, I understand.
okay, we can do a public, go ahead. We can ask now, and then we'll do a public hearing in a few moments.
Great, thank you. Mr. Welch, I was going to say, I had the opportunity to walk the property today and spend some time out there. I like what I'm seeing, because you're right, there are no smaller units like that, 15 and stuff. The way it's built, it's designed, with the layout of that lot, I was just thinking, okay, if not this, what else? Yeah, it looks to me like an excellent fit. Thank
you.
I'm quite familiar with the area. I wish you well, and I think there's a very big need for it. I'm seeing some in my family, and I have seen it in the past in the family. And I think the need can only increase, and, I commend you. It's quite a design.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, why don't you stay nearby in case we have questions, obviously, and then we'll go ahead and open this up as a public hearing. And then we'll close that part of it and see if there are more questions.
Great.
So, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council this evening on this particular project? Seeing none. Council, this is a pretty straightforward project, and I think from what people have said, we're all very excited about it. We can still ask questions. Does someone want to go ahead and make the entire motion, close the public hearing, and go ahead and make the motion, and then we can continue again having conversation, if you wish.
I'll move to approve the first reading of an ordinance for a zoning district change from 1-2 to RM to 2.5 on .908 acres, and from rural to RM 2.5 on .199 acres. And adopt a resolution for a preliminary plat combining two parcels into one lot on 1.1 acres, and adopt a resolution for finding of fact in support of park dedication fees, and direct staff to prepare a development agreement incorporating staff and commission recommendations and council conditions, and authorize the issuance of an early land alteration permit for Aspen Estates Assisted Living and Memory Care at the request of the developer, subject to the conditions outlined in the permit.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, just a comment here. I, too, went out to the property today. I was, in my council close, so I did not get out and walk that, but I did go around to the backside of it, to the cul-de-sac and knocked on the 3 doors. They weren't home, but I looked through between the houses without doing anything that looked like I'd be arrested. I stayed toward the street. But it is just a block of growth right now. Granted, in the wintertime, leaves fall, but and I couldn't walk it, so I couldn't exactly see where the lot line is. But it's good news that you're going to save, even if it's scrubbed, some of the tree mass, some of the stuff that's in there, because that stuff in there is already on some of their property, and whatever you can save on yours would be great. Obviously, if you plant the newer bushes, that's long-term better than whatever's in there now. But anyway, I would think, I'm not surprised that nobody except one family maybe came out, because what a wonderful neighbor to have as a residence looking, well, you've described it as a home, and it is a home. It's a large home for 15 people, but it's a home, very residential feel. And of course, the impact on the neighborhood, so minimal, with people going to bed at 9 o'clock and not driving. So it's like an ideal neighbor. Not a lot of rock and roll loud music probably playing in the evening hours, I'm guessing. Not that that's always a bad thing. So I would think that this is really a great addition to that neighborhood. So council, any other thoughts you want to share, or any other questions you need to ask? So we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Welcome. When you have that ribbon cutting, invite us back. We'd like to be part of it and see it and take the tour. We're excited to have you in this community, and I do completely agree there's a tremendous need, so it really feels like you're addressing the need in a very unique way. So welcome, Eden Prairie. We're glad to have you here.
Really excited. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. All right, council. Next is payment of claims, which are all the expenses that we've incurred and paid out over this time since the last meeting. So council, any expenditures you wish to raise questions about? It's pages long. Anything? If not, is there a motion to approve the payment of claims?
Move to approve the payment of claim as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Freiberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Narayan,
Aye.
Councilmember Toomey,
Aye.
Mayor Case.
Aye. All right, Mr. Getchell, moving on to ordinances and resolution. We do have an ordinance relating to council salaries.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as way of introduction, as you know, through some of the council discussion on the budget process, playing out during some workshop in May, June, or July, leading up to the summer and the fall, there was some discussion of council pay as we were talking about the city budget process. So staff was asked to do some research into mayor and council pay. And so council had a chance to look at where mayor and council fit compared to some of your peers. And there was a discussion on possibly bringing forward an ordinance revision to make an adjustment. And obviously the city council would vote on that. Obviously, the biggest piece related to that, and this has always existed, is any revision that the city council would make to pay is not actually to your own pay at this time. It would have to take effect after a future election, and that has always been the case. So after a first and second reading of any adjustment to city council pay, any change would not take effect until January 1st of 2027. And that follows state statute, but that's sometimes something people don't always understand. In terms of what's written, and you can choose to go in any direction that you want, what's proposed before you tonight is increase in the base pay of the mayor's salary of $2,000 and council member salary of $1,000. The other language in here is simply a change in how the index is changed every year. Previously, the change went along with what the governor's salary cap or the governor's pay was changed, and there is no longer a governor's cap. The governor's cap was based on the consumer price index, and we just simply updated that to say the pay will change with the consumer price index. So the reality of what changes isn't going to be different, but we just wanted to make sure the language was updated to what we've done.
Okay. I'll give any of you a chance to speak in a moment. You don't have to. I just want to say that anytime any elected official deals with raising what's perceived as their own salaries, it's problematic in our society. That being said, though, we have to sit back as a society and philosophically think about what do we want any of our elected officials to make, whether they're full-time or part-time, and what kind of people do we want to be attracted to those positions based on whatever salary. If the legislature for 4 months, 1 year, and 3 months or so the next makes some $40,000 a year, is that a lot or a little? I mean, everything is relative, right? If the governor makes 100 and whatever he makes today, not much, 60,000, is that a little or a lot? If the president of the United States makes only 400,000, is that a lot or a little? I mean, everything is perception, often compared to what one makes themselves. Right now, this Eden Prairie City Council, the mayor is 18,000 something. I should know it. I don't. Mr. Getchell, council members are 14 something, or you've got it. Would you
Yeah,
read
no,
it?
you're correct. So the mayor is 18 to 60, and the council is 14,137.
So when we look at that, it's, I know this may be difficult to believe for some people, but we're really not looking at like what we need or want. It's almost irrelevant to me, and I think for many of you, what we actually get paid. The position of Eden Prairie Council or Eden Prairie Mayor, we look at the comparisons to other council members and mayors across the region in cities that are comparable to Eden Prairie. So taking just the mayor's salary when that data got looked at, and again, I'm forgetting the exacts, Rick can straighten me out here, but or keep me honest, but I believe there were 5 mayor positions around the area that already were over $20,000 a year and exceeded Eden Prairie's mayor. And then 3 or 4 exceeded the council member salaries. So our thought, again, I don't think we've ever really tried to be number one. I think we are number one city in the state. I don't think we've necessarily always tried to make, Rick Getchell's salary be number one, or to make any salary, or have the police department be paid as the top in the state. But we're very cognizant that we want to be comparable in the sense that we are a high-quality city, and we would like the salaries that Eden Prairie City pays to be relative to the idea that we're really, if not the number one, we're a number one city. So our thoughts were, the way that we were getting pay raises was based on the consumer price index. And for those of you that wonder about that, because we can only salary increases can only take effect after an election, which occur every 2 years. So if the CPI 1 year was 2.5 and the next year it was 3%, then 2 years later, we would get a 5.5% pay increase. And again, small, and that was barely keeping up. There's a handful of cities that do that. Other cities do not have a regular increase. Instead, they leapfrog every 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They'll increase salaries $3,000 or $4,000, which looks like a big percentage at the time, and we were trying to avoid that by doing regular small incremental pay increases based on CPI. So just to clarify, if the mayor's salary goes up $2,000, it will not take effect till January 1, 2027. And council salaries going up 1,000 would not take effect till January 1, 2027. And I hope you all are okay with me talking about 4 of the 5 ages, but 4 of the 5 of us are 70 years old and over. So this is not about us. You know, we're not going to be in this position for, well, I'll just say forever. And also, 3 of us are up for reelection next fall. We have not even decided if we're running. So this is about the integrity of the position and making sure that we remain comparable so we attract the types of candidates that should be attracted to this position for the years to come. And that's really all it is. It's a salary adjustment because others were leapfrogging and getting further and further and further ahead of the Eden Prairie Council salaries. So we decided what I think is a fairly small adjustment to make a small adjustment, 2,000 to the mayor position and 1,000 to the council. Council, do you want to add anything to that? You
Be
don't.
added there.
Okay. And by the way, we had a conversation because of open meeting law. We can't talk outside of a meeting, so this was at a workshop a couple months ago or a month ago now, I'm forgetting, and asked the staff to go back and look at this and asked our attorney to bring back an ordinance revision. And that's what is before you all this evening. And then the little tweak of changing the language about comparable to the governor's increase, which is no longer true because he doesn't have a cap. Or the position, it's really important to clarify there, the position of governor doesn't have a cap because Governor Walz hasn't even announced whether he's running or not. All right. Without any further ado then, is there someone that would make a motion of the first reading, which means we'll need to have a second reading up at the next meeting. So of the first reading of this ordinance amending City Code Section 2.05.
I'll move to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending City Code Section 2.05 relating to the salaries of the mayor and council members.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, unanimous. Okay, moving on down there, I think it's just report of city member, me. So just quickly here, if any of you in the city of Eden Prairie out there tonight sitting there or at home saw today's headline, if anyone gets the, I love the newspaper, but if anyone gets the paper copy anymore, this is what it looked like. $500 million in federal funding at risk that was going to municipalities and counties. Now it's at risk. They're not saying yet that it's been withdrawn, but it's money that was approved by Congress that now is being looked at by the executive office, President Trump and his the people working in the executive branch, looking at not at either clawing it back or not giving the rest of it. So the article talked about Minneapolis, St. Paul, and others. So I thought it would be important for the residents of Eden Prairie to know, is Eden Prairie at risk? Are we vulnerable to any cuts that may occur at the federal level? So Rick, if I'd asked you about this before, so if you want to share for a few moments, go ahead.
Sure, Mayor. So, and we talk about this again during budget discussions as well. Eden Prairie is a city that relies mainly on our own funding sources. We do have some sources of funding at the state level. We receive very little, if any, funding from the federal level. The funding that we do receive from the federal level, the vast majority of funding, as you know, is from our Community Development Block Grant Program. And for us, that is not operational money for the most part for Eden Prairie. So we do not rely on that for city operations.
It's pass-through money to these organizations.
Pass-through money to other organizations and for some of our programming. So we do provide a lot of our housing programs, housing loans. So it's obviously very important funding, but not for our general operations. But if you think about all the city funding, all our full budget, you know, you're talking 120, 30, $140 million if you think about all of our funding. all of that CDBG money might be in the neighborhood of $330,000. You know, when you think about all of our funding, and that would be at risk, and it is at risk, could be at risk. We're still thinking we could receive that funding in the next fiscal year. And without getting into too much detail, we do now have another source of funding with a dedicated sales tax that's coming toward affordable housing aid. So we actually, and that's probably another update at another time, if we actually do lose our CDBG funding for some of those programs, we may have a way to fill that gap with the local and state affordable housing aid.
And Rick, that dedicated sales tax is not something the Eden Prairie City Council voted on or applied to us individually. It's a statewide, and we get our share of it.
That's correct, Mayor. You know, outside of that, and I think we talked about this in January, there are other grants, other programs where federal tax credits for some of the solar arrays that I think I gave a report on at the last meeting, electric charging stations, you know, reimbursements for grants that are threatened. So those are some areas that we were concerned about. And I think I think some of the news we've gotten is that we think we are getting hopefully some reimbursements. But again, those are grants. And I think the headline in the newspaper isn't even talking about grant funding necessarily, or reimbursements for grants. So to answer your question, if anything falls under the purview of that headline, it would be our community development block grant funding. It's a very, very small percentage of our funding. We still hope to receive that funding, and we have backup plans in case that occurs.
Great question, Councilmember Narayan.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking in a resident's point of view, and I'm so glad that we are not dependent on the federal funding that much. But we are, as a resident, you know, we care about the school and Hennepin County. Do we know how the school district is affected by this, or Hennepin County affected by this? Is it a potential to increase taxes for residents? Do we know any area of that?
I think from the county point of view, I think our commissioners were here, I think it was a few months ago, and I think there are major concerns from their point of view, but they would have that information. I think if you remember, they're very concerned. I think from different conversations I've had with the school district, maybe the mayor can speak to that from meetings we've had. I think they're similar to us in that a lot of their funding is state and federally related, but they could be indirectly affected federally. But I couldn't speak directly to the school either, Councilmember Narayan, but we can check with the school. But I have not heard anything recently.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think definitely the schools need to respond, as they do regularly, to that question, because it's not just Eden Prairie. 5% of our resident students go up to Minnetonka. They have issues as well. I think everything that's been in the paper really talks mostly about special ed reimbursement funding, mandates that won't necessarily be backfilled. And I think there are concerns. I just think nobody knows quite yet what that's going to look like, especially if the education department does dissolve and then its responsibilities get spread among other departments. No one knows really yet, but that really clearly is the school district, you know, responsibility, and they will to share what the impacts on them will be. So. All right, just real quickly, my second point I wanted to raise was that we just do a lot of events and what I call them cultural amenities here in Eden Prairie, and it's really to the credit of our staff who run so many different events and programs. And since our last meeting, which is just a month ago, there's been People Fest. Some of these are future, right around our time right now, and some are very recent in the past. People Fest, Arts in the Park, Picnic on the Farm. It's a redo that's coming up here in the is it this next week, I think, or?
Next Wednesday.
Yeah. Pickleball, Miller Park grand opening ribbon cutting. We did that. 19 Unite, obviously we had 159 known community block parties, but I'm sure there were another 50 or so that did not call in. open house for the 4 fire stations, neighborhood open houses for each of them. I drove around and attended all of them, and they were nicely attended by neighborhoods. Two days from now, our council, we're taking it on the road, and we're going to visit 2 buildings that cater to seniors, so senior residence buildings. What are the 2, Rick Cabo?
Sure. Flagstone.
Flagstone, I was trying to say Cobblestone,
Yeah, and-
Flagstone.
And Prairie Bluffs.
Yep.
Senior living.
And we meet with their residents, and then they come into the community room. It's just a really wonderful time, and we've done this now, I don't know, 3-4 years, and we do different buildings. So that's coming up, and staff, our senior staff go to that. So just a whole lot of thanks to our Park and Rec sustainability people for the things that Rick just talked about, but HRDC, Human Rights and Diversity, police and fire during Night to Unite. I don't know, hundreds, Matt, of police and fire individuals. And we took all of our equipment on the road, and we had our 5 brand new fire trucks that had not been fully commissioned yet, so they were not needing to be out on calls. And by the way, they're amazing. I took a tour of one of the new fire trucks. It's just phenomenal. I just have to share a brief story. When we went to pick it up, I guess you had representatives from New York City, I think, and Kansas City coming to pick, whoops, sorry, I should be looking at fire, to pick up their trucks. Sorry, Matt's like, you're looking at the wrong guy. Yeah, but you're both in the blue uniform. So at the time, I guess the structure of the fire trucks is all the same, but the individual little design features we got to be part of to design it just so well. And I guess their representatives from those cities were coming over, looking at it, going, that's a great idea. We should have done that. I mean, I think we're probably not only getting known around the state, but the country, but we've got to have some of the best fire trucks in the region. And I think that's important for our residents, because you tell us in surveys and otherwise that you want a high quality public safety here in the city, the best police officers, the best fire personnel, the best equipment. And so I was so proud of that, going around those 4 stations that night and seeing the people that work for you, Scott, and also the equipment that we have. So council, I mean, we all, again, you've heard me say that our budget reflects our priorities. So our budget, 40% of it or so goes to public safety, is what the people of Eden Prairie direct us that they want. If you ever change your minds on that, you'll tell us by unelecting us or by telling us on a survey. But that's what we are operating on now, and I'm proud of the fact when we are the best in the whole area of the region in so many different areas. But thank you, Chief Matt Sackett, and thank you, Chief Scott Gerber, for all that you do, and please communicate that to the people on your teams. Anything else? Any other items tonight to come before the council?
Do you say coffee with cops?
No, and I didn't say anything about crime prevention.
Oh, no,
fund
that's
either.
okay.
So Lisa's ahead of that. No, I didn't say coffee with cops, so thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you
but
for
there's one next Tuesday.
What else am I missing? No, please,
There's a coffee with cops next Tuesday
Next-
at 9
where
in
is
the
it?
morning, Round Lake?
Round Lake, coffee with the cops next Tuesday. And
And firefighters, yeah, we invited the police invited the firefighters.
At Round Lake, 9 o'clock next Tuesday. Did I
Yes.
say that right? Okay.
Okay,
Anything
sorry.
else I missed in terms of events? Yep, yeah. So again, thank you to all of our staff. We just, yeah, I always know I'm leaving people out, but like Public Works is just phenomenal to keep everything running all the time, right? When you turn your water on, it just doesn't happen by accident, right? Actually, when you flush your toilet, it doesn't happen by accident that it goes somewhere. So I mean, we have just amazing Public Works in our roads. And by the way, at Night to Unite, I went around to 5 parties, and many of you did as well. And that's what we heard consistently. Amazing, plowing of the roads in the winter, and our roads are the best maintained around, and we have the best public safety, and that just makes us feel good because we're doing what you directed us to do and you sent us here to do. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn the city council meeting tonight.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.